Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I wanted to talk about the Synastry aspect, Moon square the North Node. So you guys have been requesting this one a lot, and I don't know if it's just the same person requesting it over and over again or if it's many of you, but this is definitely being requested a lot. So let's talk about it. So, in my personal experience with this, when I have been the moon person in this synastry aspect, so my moon squaring their north node, and by the way, whenever your moon is square someone's north node, it's also square the south node too, right? Because they're always exactly opposite. It seems that my lifestyle, or it could even be family related or home related, because the moon represents home and family and like our inner child, our deepest feelings, feminine self, feminine expression, right? When I've been the moon in that situation, it's like those very significant emotional deep things for me conflict into the life path and destiny of the node person. So there's like a mismatch of energy in how the moon person feels, and also their home, their family, like, being a mother, things like that. At least that's how I've experienced it. And then the life path and the specific soul purpose and destiny of the nodal person is not in alignment with those lunar things, right? And so you have to look at the rest of the synastry to like determine whether this is actually a deal breaking thing or not. But in my opinion, squares to the nodes, also squares to the ascendant, are a lot less difficult to deal with in synastry. And not that they're less significant, but they are more easy to overcome than, say, squares to other, like, planet to planet squares. So, with that being said, I don't feel that this aspect is all that bad, except for the moon person can end up feeling like, what is important to them, what they dream of, even sometimes, like I said, where they live, their family life is not in alignment or not appreciated by the node person. Now, if there's other aspects to the person's moon, this could really offset a lot of this, right? But as far as like the nodal path goes, which is a big part of our soul purpose, our destiny, where we're going in life, but also where we're coming from too, because this is, like I said, this square is actually, it's squaring the south node and the north node, right, at the same time. So the moon person is in their deepest feelings and emotional feminine self, conflicting with the node person's, like, where they've been and also where they're going. So they are deeply different in a sense, but other aspects could mitigate this a lot and make this, not that big of a deal. Now, when you're the node person, you can really feel like the moon person is actually a bit immature. That can be, part of the reason you feel like what they aspire to be, what they're doing, how they are in this emotional sense, how their emotional reactions are. It's like a hindrance to you in a certain way. And now it depends too on the signs. I've only ever experienced this in fixed signs, as my moon and my nodes are fixed signs. So, there's certain signs that will handle this square a lot better and be more lighthearted about it. In my case, it's always been in Scorpio and Leo, so it's a little bit more intense in those signs. But for the most part, it's probably easier to deal with. Mutable squares tend to be the easiest to deal with, by the way. But yeah, so the node person can really feel like the moon person is childlike or immature or needing guidance, needing, direction that they might not be willing to give them. In this case, it's a little bit different than when we got moon conjunct north node or something where they're like wanting to give to the moon more. In this square, it's like, okay, well, if I invest too heavily into the moon, they might, be too childish or be too immature or just have a very conflicting emotional energy than what I'm used to. So there could also be differences between, like, simple things like extroversion, introversion, or like the processing of emotions. Some person, one of the people, or the moon person could be like more outwardly emotional or more inwardly emotional, and there's something conflicting with, where the node person is going and where they've come from. There's like this difference in family backgrounds, difference in heritage. You might even see this in like differences in culture. Like, someone's coming from, we're long distance and they've got this family upbringing that's like this, or a certain religion or something like that. And then the other person is coming from a totally different background and they don't understand it. And it does actually actively conflict with each other, right? So it can be a little bit annoying, but like I said, I think that the other aspects are going to show like whether this is workable or not, because what this is just showing is that the moon person's emotional self, like I said, is conflicting with the node person's, where they've been, where they're going. And they both do feel something on a very deep level for each other. This can really feel like this is a karmic connection. This is a connection that, there's something to work out here. That's the thing about the square aspect, is that it is very active. So you might feel this even more than, say, the trine or the sextile, which are more harmonious. You might actually feel more connected to this person because of the dynamic activity of the square. There's something to resolve here. These differences can actually be an attraction point to the people. And like I said, this is a very memorable synastry contact. This is a relationship that you remember because it changes you. And the node person can really see another way of life or see another way of being. And vice versa, actually, the moon person too can really see, how the person operates, how the node person operates, and how, it's very different than them and how they feel. Yes, it can hurt their feelings at times. This can even be an aspect of, I've had it when it's like an enemy type of situation here, but nonetheless, it's very valuable, the growth and learning that we can experience here. It is karmic. There is this feeling of something to resolve. There is this feeling of, when you see them, when you meet them, it's kind of like you're transfixed. You're like, whoa, like, who is this person? And it feels very emotional, very deep. It feels like it could even be relevant to like healing your inner child, especially when you're the moon person. It's like the nodal person is doing you a big favor as far as like, daddy issues healing, or like mommy issues healing. Like there's a theme going on here with the moon person, that it could be something like that. Now, also another manifestation that I've noticed with this one is that sometimes it can kind of reverse, where like the moon person is actively feeling a sort of mothering energy towards the node person. Like they want to mother them, they want to nurture them, but yet the node person has a hard time receiving that. If there isn't other aspects to the person's moon going on, the node person is kind of like, why are you smothering me? Or why are you clinging on to me like this? Or why are you so emotional? Like, why are you feeling this way to me? And I don't know the specific past life energy here. You could meditate on that. You could do a past life regression about that. But I wonder if it could be parental, or, maybe the moon person was actually like a parent of the node person, or maybe it was the other way too. I mean, who's to say, right? So there's some kind of theme there going on between like actual parenting, reparenting the inner child, mothering, nurturing, emotional giving. So sometimes we can see the moon person reacting very emotionally and like wanting to give to the node person, wanting to kind of like heal their past and their future, but then the node person not really being open to receiving that, or feeling like the moon person is, like I said, overly emotional, or like I said, immature, clingy, so you have to look at everything. But with other aspects to that person's moon, this is not really that big of a deal. It's going to just show the differences in early life, or like I said, backgrounds, religions, things like that, that can be a bit off-putting, likely more off-putting to the moon person because that's the more, emotional planet here. But with other aspects to the moon showing expression, then this is not really a big deal. The worst thing that you want to see in Synastry is like if someone's moon is making just an aspect like this and nothing else. That is not good. That's going to show emotional disconnect. Now, if someone's moon is making this aspect and then it's also, conjunct with Venus and Sun or something like that is going to way offset this. This is not going to be bigger than that. But do you get what I'm saying? It's like the worst thing you want to see is a moon that's making no aspects or just like one square or something to the other person's chart in Synastry. Then there's going to be a disconnect, and even worse, if the other person's moon is making many aspects and then it's not making aspects, then it's like one person is emotional or feeling emotionally, seen and validated, and like the other person doesn't feel it or doesn't get it from this relationship. So that's just something to be aware of. But yeah, overall, squares to the nodes, not a super big deal in Synastry. I mean, as far as like being toxic or make or break or things like that, but it does show karmic themes. It does show past life energy being carried over. So, it is a big deal, but I mean, it's not a deal breaker as far as I am concerned. But this is definitely one of the more emotional ones to have. There's definitely big feelings brought up, and that can create like some hatred or some jealousy or some feelings of being misunderstood or not heard, not validated, especially from the moon person. So yeah, it's a really interesting one to have. I'd love to know your experiences of it. If you've had this in Synastry, what has it been like for you? You can let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for requesting this one, you guys. Love you guys. We'll talk soon.